The bridge that shouldn't exist. I grew up in a small, sleepy town nestled between endless forests and winding rivers. It wasn't the kind of place where things happened. No big mysteries, no urban legends, just quiet monotony. That was until last summer, when I found the bridge. I didn't mean to find it. I wasn't looking for anything unusual. I was just out for a drive, trying to clear my head after a rough day. It was late, maybe 10 p.m., and the moonlight made everything look silver and surreal. The kind of night where the world feels slightly off. I'd driven those back roads hundreds of times, but that night, I took a wrong turn. I can't even tell you why. It wasn't a conscious decision, more like my hands moved the wheel on their own. I didn't realize I was lost until the road narrowed into a dirt path, hemmed in by towering pines that swallowed my headlights. I should have turned around. But something kept me going. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the strange hum in the air, like the forest itself was alive. After about 10 minutes of creeping down that road, I saw it, an old, rusted bridge. It spanned a wide, black river I didn't recognize. The water was unnaturally still, like a sheet of glass, reflecting the moonlight in a way that made my skin crawl. The bridge was a relic of another time, with iron railings twisted into intricate patterns. It looked ancient, like it had been there forever. But here's the thing, that bridge doesn't exist. I knew every inch of my hometown. Every road, every trail, every shortcut. There was no river like this, no bridge like this. And yet, there it was, standing in silent defiance of everything I thought I knew. I parked my car at the edge of the bridge and got out. The air was heavy, damp with the smell of moss and something metallic. I stepped closer, running my hand over the cold iron railing. The patterns were strange, spirals and symbols that didn't make sense, like something out of an old book no one remembers writing. That's when I noticed the noise. It was faint at first, barely audible over the sound of the wind in the trees. A low, rhythmic thrum, like a heartbeat. I leaned over the railing, staring into the black water below. The sound grew louder. And then I saw something move beneath the surface. At first, I thought it was a fish. But fish don't grow that big, and they don't swim like that, smooth, deliberate, almost serpentine. The shadow circled slowly, as if it knew I was watching. My heart pounded as I leaned closer, trying to make out its shape. That's when it stopped. The shadow froze directly below me, and for a moment, I thought it was gone. Then it looked up. I don't know how to explain it. There weren't eyes, not exactly, but I could feel its gaze piercing through the water, through the night, through me. I stumbled back, my foot catching on a loose stone. I fell hard, scraping my palms on the rough wood of the bridge. When I looked back at the water, the shadow was gone. But the heartbeat sound remained, louder now, echoing in my chest. I don't remember getting back into my car. The next thing I knew, I was driving back down the dirt road, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. The hum in the air was gone, replaced by a suffocating silence. And then, out of nowhere, I heard it, a voice. Soft, almost a whisper, coming from my backseat. You shouldn't have found this place. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding to a stop. My breath caught in my throat as I turned around, half expecting to see someone, or something, sitting behind me. But the backseat was empty. That should have been the end of it. I should have gone straight home, locked my doors, and pretended it never happened. But instead, I did something incredibly stupid. I went back. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about the bridge. It was like an itch in my brain I couldn't scratch. I told myself it was just a weird dream, that I'd fallen asleep at the wheel and imagined the whole thing. But deep down, I knew better. So, I waited until sunset and drove back. The road was easy to find this time, almost like it had been waiting for me. As I approached the bridge, the same heaviness settled over me, pressing against my chest like a physical weight. The air hummed faintly, and the rhythmic heartbeat sound returned. This time, I wasn't alone. A man stood in the middle of the bridge, staring out over the water. He was tall and thin, dressed in dark, tattered clothes that looked soaked through. I stopped the car and called out to him, but he didn't react. He just kept staring. Against every ounce of common sense I had left, I got out of the car and approached him. His back was to me, and I noticed his hands were gripping the railing so tightly his knuckles were white. "Hey," I said, my voice shaking. "Are you okay?" He turned slowly, and I immediately wished he hadn't. His eyes were wrong. Too wide, too black, too empty. And his smile, God, that smile, stretched too far, like his face was made of rubber. When he spoke, his voice didn't match his expression. It was calm, almost kind. "You shouldn't be here." I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet. He stepped closer, his movements jerky and unnatural, like a puppet on strings. "The bridge doesn't like visitors," he said, his smile never faltering. "But now that you've seen it, you can't leave." I didn't wait to find out what he meant. I scrambled to my feet and bolted back to the car. The man didn't follow, but I swear I could feel his gaze on me as I fumbled with the door and threw myself inside. The engine roared to life, and I sped down the dirt road, not daring to look back. But as I drove, the rhythmic heartbeat grew louder, pounding in my ears. My headlights flickered, the air hummed, and I swear the trees were closing in around me. When I finally made it back to the main road, the noise stopped. Everything went still, like nothing had ever happened. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, I saw the man standing at the edge of the road, his smile visible even from a distance. The aftermath. It's been months since that night, and I haven't gone back. But sometimes, late at night, I hear the hum again. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. And when I dream, I see the bridge. The black water. The shadow beneath the surface. I've tried to forget, to move on. But deep down, I know the truth. The bridge isn't gone. It's waiting. And one day, it'll call me back. Update. I wasn't planning to write this update. Honestly, I didn't think I'd ever talk about the bridge again. But after what happened last night, I don't think I have a choice. It's been months since I saw the bridge, and I've done everything I can to forget. I moved to a new town, hundreds of miles away, far from those woods and rivers. I even sold my car, anything to put distance between me and whatever I saw that night. For a while, it worked. The nightmares faded, and the hum stopped haunting my late-night silence. I started to believe the bridge was just a bad memory, something I could leave behind. But last night, I realized the bridge wasn't gone. It's still here. And now, it's closer than ever. Yesterday started like any other day. Work, errands, dinner. Nothing unusual. But as I was getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed. It was a notification from my weather app. Severe fog advisory in your area. Avoid driving near waterways. I wouldn't have thought twice about it, except for the picture attached to the alert. It showed a bridge. Not just any bridge, the bridge. The same twisted iron railings. The same black water beneath it. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. How could it be here? How could it even exist outside of that town? I wanted to believe it was a mistake, a weird coincidence, but deep down, I knew better. I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat in the dark, waiting for something to happen. By midnight, the fog had rolled in, thick and oppressive. It swallowed the streetlights and muffled every sound, leaving the world eerily quiet. Then, around 3 a.m., I heard it. A faint hum, so soft at first I thought I was imagining it. But it grew louder, more insistent, until it felt like the walls themselves were vibrating. The air in my apartment turned heavy, pressing down on me like a physical weight. And then I heard the heartbeat. I froze. The rhythmic pounding was unmistakable, the same sound I'd heard on the bridge that night. My chest tightened as it grew louder, closer, until it seemed to echo from right outside my door. Then came the knock. It was slow, deliberate, and wrong. Not the sharp rap of knuckles against wood, but a dull, heavy thud, like something too large, too heavy, was pressing against the door. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The knocking continued, steady and relentless, until I thought I'd lose my mind. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. I thought it was over. But then I heard footsteps. They were faint, shuffling, like someone, or something, was dragging itself down the hallway outside my apartment. I grabbed the closest thing I could find, a lamp, and crept toward the peephole. What I saw made my blood run cold. It was him. The man from the bridge. He was standing at the far end of the hallway, his head tilted at an unnatural angle, staring straight at my door. His too wide smile stretched even farther this time, splitting his face in two. I stumbled back, my hands shaking so badly I dropped the lamp. When I looked through the peephole again, he was gone. But I wasn't alone. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. It was a new notification. Come back to the bridge. No sender. No app. Just those 5 words, glowing on the screen like a brand. The hum grew louder, and the heartbeat seemed to come from inside my own chest. I ran. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, and bolted out of the apartment. The fog outside was so thick I could barely see, but I didn't care. I drove blindly, not knowing where I was going, just as long as it was away. I'm writing this from a motel on the edge of nowhere. The fog has finally lifted, and the hum is gone, but I can't shake the feeling that it's not over. The bridge isn't just a place. It's a presence, a thing that shouldn't exist, but does. And it's not bound by roads or rivers. It found me once, and it will find me again. If you ever see it, if you ever hear the hum or the heartbeat, don't stop. Don't look. Just run. Because once the bridge finds you, it won't let you go.